Today, we're going to answer the question, can you get by in Taiwan without Chinese?
We moved to Taiwan about 6 months ago, and in preparation for this trip, we started to learn some Mandarin. You know, how to say hello, thank you, good morning, or things like that. The basics.
Surprisingly enough, that's all you really need to know. You can actually get by pointing, body language, Google Translate, and most of the signs here are in English and Mandarin, and there's a fair number of people who are willing to help you by speaking some English, and you can get by like that.
Oh. So the answer is yes. You can get by without Mandarin here, but we recommend you take the time to learn the language of the country you're going to be living in, because it's going to make your experience that much more richer and fuller. You're going to be able to understand more about the culture and talk to some local people. So we recommend you learn some.
And that's our first point, making friends. Now, it is entirely possible to just make friends in an English community. There's a rather large expat community here. You're going to meet people where you work if you're going to be working in a foreign speaking job. And you're also going to have friends through just meeting people around. However, you're going to limit yourself a bit. And you're not going to be able to experience the full culture of Taiwan, or maybe find those local favorite spots that really only the locals know about. So, it's a pro and a con. If you have someone you came here with, it might be a bit easier.
It does make it easier.
It does definitely make it easier, and you might not need to create a big friend base. But there's apps like Tinder to help you reach out and meet new people.
And when Jesse says here, he means Taipei. So a lot of the things we're going to be talking about relates directly to Taipei. There's a big English community here, and things like buying food, it's easier here because a lot of the places have either an English menu, and when they don't, they have pictures, and we've learned to just point at the pictures to order food. It does limit the food that you can get. Most of the time we don't know what's on the menu, so I know how to say chicken and pork, so I can always say chicken burger, and then they know hamburger because I think it's closer, the pronunciation in Chinese. So we can get by like that. And we were really anxious about trying restaurants that didn't have any English whatsoever or pictures.
But now we sort of just take a random chance.
Yeah, so not knowing Chinese makes us a little bit more adventurous in the food section, but I wish I knew a bit more so I could explore more on the, like, knowing what I'm eating at least.
Like try fish.
Like try fish. We haven't eaten fish in a restaurant yet. And with that, I was also very anxious about public transportation. Somebody told me to like never try to take the buses in Taipei because it would just be too confusing. But I haven't found it that confusing. Like, as long as you have Google Maps tells you exactly where you need to go, which stop you get off. You can even like set up a little notification and it will tell you to get up in 2 stops.
One note though is Google Maps is not entirely accurate on times. Here or in Japan or even in the Philippines, it wasn't accurate on times, but the routes are right. Like if you go to this spot and you wait for that bus and you wave your hand, you're good. We actually have a video on transportation up here. Check that one.
Yeah, another thing with transportation is if you ever have a problem with like paying your ticket or getting stuck on a door, anything, you're gonna have a hard time trying to communicate that to the person if they don't speak English. Sometimes I've gone off the bus without paying because they just sort of leave and I'm trying to scramble to try to explain to them what the problem is, and we're just lost in translation.
But both the buses here in Taipei and in New Taipei and the MRT all have English for the stops. So you do know where you are and what you're going on. The signs do not, so you have to sort of plan it out ahead of time, but you don't know what stop you're going to get off at.
So another point is going to the doctors. I know that might be something that some people get stressed about, whether they're gonna find doctors that speak English. And we've been fortunate enough to have gone to places where they all speak English. Even the receptionist, it might not be like super fluent English, but you're able to communicate and make the transaction no problem.
A fair number of doctors are trained in Canada and the United States, so there's a fair amount of English available when you're going for professional fields like doctors or dentists. And that's not necessarily something you need to worry about being able to communicate, because they also will know all of the medicines, they'll know all of the sicknesses in the English and in the Chinese.
But that is to say, too, we are in a big city, so we have a bit of that luxury that they are able to speak English. But if you find yourself in a rural community, maybe further south in Taiwan, this might not be the case. That's why we're saying it is good that you learn some Chinese in order to defend yourself. At least, like, I used to carry this app with just like emergency Chinese that you can just press the button. I'm probably gonna link the name of the app down below, but you just press the button and it says out loud in Chinese what you need to know, so in case of emergency or if you need to order food and things like that.
And I actually use another app, it's called Pleco, we'll link it down below too, but you just draw the character in the app and it'll tell you what it is. So that can be really helpful when you find a sign or something that you don't know, and eventually you're going to start to understand a few of them. Even if you're not studying Chinese, you're going to start to understand the basics, like where we live.
So another point is paperwork and going to the bank. So we did all our paperwork through the school, though we did have to go to some offices ourselves, and some of the papers were in Chinese only. So you gotta be really careful here. You gotta make sure that you get somebody to translate for you, or maybe using Google Maps or taking a picture. However you decide to do it, make sure that you know what you're signing, and with the bank, you know everything in order to keep your money safe.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. In Taipei, it's going to be a lot easier to find English-speaking banks in the government positions. So if you're going to apply for your visa or your ARC, you're usually not going to have a problem finding someone who speaks English, because the government tends to have a fair number of English-speaking
personnel. Yes.
Personnel, yeah. So that is not something you really need to worry about. No matter where you are in the country, there's supposed to be a lot of English-speaking personnel throughout. But banks, even in Taipei here, we did struggle at a few of them, but eventually it's not too bad. There's usually at least one person in the bank who knows how to speak some English, can help you out.
Hopefully. Yes.
Come on, you're gonna be fine.
So we also had this problem trying to find a package that was sent to us. Yeah. You want to talk about it?
Okay, so my parents sent us a package, and we just moved into our place, our old place in Taipei, and we didn't really know how to mail stuff to ourselves. So it was sent to some wrong place and they weren't able to deliver it, and then we had to go, and then I called the number. It was only Chinese, so I had to get someone else to call the number for me, and they told me to go to this address, and that address wasn't right because there was actually a west or an east in the road name that wasn't there. So then we had to go to the other side, and we finally found this package, and we had to go way in the back, and they gave it to us.
So there's miscommunication, it's gonna happen, but eventually we got it, and even if there's people on the line on the phone that you need to talk to, you can always maybe ask a friend or a colleague or somebody to help you out with the translation. So you are able to get things done in English if you don't have Mandarin, but again, if you know some, it's gonna make your life much easier.
Much easier. So make a friend who's gonna help you translate. Yeah.
So don't worry too much about it. Even if you don't have Mandarin, just try your best, and once you come here, try to soak up and learn as much as you can from the people around you, and put yourself in situations in which you have to use your Mandarin in order for you to learn more. That's all for us today. If you have any questions about moving to Taipei, moving to Taiwan in general, let us know in the comment section down below. And we have a couple of videos that's going to help you plan your trip to Taiwan. If you're interested in teaching, we can also answer questions about that. So make sure to subscribe down below and give us a like, and we'll see you next time.
Wait, can I mention one more thing?
Yeah, go.
There is a scholarship program here in Taiwan for people who are in college, or I think it's under the age of 30. We're going to link this down below. But if you are interested in learning Mandarin, they will sponsor your tuition, room and board, and everything while you're here.
I did not know this.
Yeah, so if you are interested in learning Mandarin and interested in coming to Taiwan, there's a really great opportunity by a university here in Taiwan through, I think it's the American and the Canadian. I'll link it all down below so you can check it out. But it's a great way to learn the language and to get a free year abroad.
So if you stayed all to the end of the video, you got this really helpful information. Okay, see you next time.
See you later.